What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you are watching us on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google, all the podcast platforms out there, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you interviews like the one today. We're across the globe. In what part of Germany are you at, Alexander?
Southwest.
Southwest.
Yes.
So I'm talking with Alexander Krull of the band Atrocity. So how are you doing, man?
Yeah, crazy times we live in, right? It's a crazy world turned upside down, and well, we got the soundtrack for this crazy times. Need crazy music. A new album called Occult, free.
That's what I was gonna say, man. I was gonna get into it. You read my mind. You already know my notes here. It does sound like the perfect soundtrack for what we're living in, and it depends how deep you want to go down the rabbit hole. I think the occult plays a big part in a lot of stuff. But
yeah, right.
But usually when I have someone on for the first time, I like to get a quick background. So originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I formed this band in 1985. So that's quite a while ago. And we, started out as a extreme metal band, like death metal band. And we did all kinds of things in the past as well. As we, quite of looking for challenges in music, so to say. So we made a lot of variety in our musical career. And
so even as a child, you knew you wanted to head this direction, huh?
I mean, you mean that? Yeah, I mean, I was, I think, 6 years old or something like that when I think the Purple crossed race. Actually, when they split up for the first time, and I think they played "Smoke on the Water" on the radio. So as a very young kid, I was actually looking for who's that band, and my sister introduced me then later to the kind of music. Hard rock. It was not even metal back then. So that was like probably a kickstart for myself going into like rock music, and here we go.
Yeah, and then when did you decide that you wanted to pursue a career in music and start learning to play and all that?
Yeah, well, I was in music school as well, but I was 15 when we formed the band. So it's a huge part of my life. So and even had one band or project before I was a very young teenager. Actually, my friends, my buddies back then, they were all much older than me, or a bit older, not so much older. And it was quite a roller coaster, so to say, with the music. It was like all underground and stuff like that. With the kind of music we were doing, nobody wanted to book us, or there were no big chances for tours and stuff like that. And so it happened that we organized our own festivals and tours and stuff. And when I was very young, also did it for other bands. So like one of the first death metal festivals, so to say, also with some other extreme music with hardcore and stuff like that, I did myself back then with Carcass, Entombed, Pestilence, and plenty other bands back then from the underground scene. And also like the first European tour from Carcass and Atrocity, I booked myself as a young kid.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So then was the scene pretty heavy there in Germany as you were growing up?
Yeah, well, I mean, Germany is the so-called how you say that, major heavy metal country or something like that. As everybody was saying metal is dead in the mid-90s. It was still a big thing here, and, and still going strong. that fan base is very loyal, and there's a huge fan base of that kind of music ever since, I can think, especially in Southwest Germany, also very strong connected to heavy metal in general. So but with the extreme music, that was also something interesting, as you know, we were one of the only bands doing that extreme music. Were some, but not like, for example, in Florida, you had like more bands playing than probably we had in all over Germany. So traditional heavy metal and hard rock, this is like I said, ever since a big thing over here, and we were super lucky with that, as the Rockfabrik Ludwigsburg was like the first metal temple, a rock club here, and we were the house band. We were like so lucky. They were building that in the mid '80s, and actually it lasted until when just before Corona started. That the owner of the buildings sold or whatever, not sold a building, but he actually was not renting it anymore to the Rockfabrik people. So that was really, really sad. We had even demonstration. It was like, how many people? 3, 4, 5,000 people marching, maybe 3,000-4,000 more than 5,000. But anyways, a lot of people wanted to show their love for that club, because it was very important in all of Germany, because it was the first, and it was also a club which was like having an own magazine. I was also writing for that. We had like 40,000 copies every month and stuff like that in back in the 90s, and it was a really a hot spot for melting point for musicians and bands. And a lot of bands were also stopping by, not only for playing, also just to come by and hang around there.
Yeah, you probably worked with some of my friends. I remember hearing stories from the guys in Ringworm and Integrity and stuff like that, when they would love going over to Germany. They seemed well accepted over there. Fans were really all about them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it's what I'm saying, like every band coming to Europe, or from UK or from the US, or from in Europe, of course, itself as well. They know it's like a really great club scene over here, and audience is really great. A lot of record companies also based here. Yeah, like Massacre Records, but AFM, Nuclear Blast, Century Media, and so forth. It's like it's also for the industry an important market.
Yeah, definitely. And then so you were like, I mean, you were doing a lot, definitely had a passion for music. If you were like helping book shows and put together festivals and writing for, your big zine over there. And then like as you were doing all this, is this when you also started Atrocity?
Yeah, I mean, that was actually my school of rock, so to say, was the Rockfabrik in Ludwigsburg. And but yeah, it was going hand in hand, so to say. I mean, we started with 5 buddies from school, and as young kids, and probably had no clue about what were we gonna do or something like that. We wanted to be extreme band, of course, and maybe the goal was to become the most extreme band from our area, so we would reach something, and but not playing like 50 countries, 5 continents and stuff like that, or going into the charts. We were not thinking about that, of course, but we were ambitious with the music, so, and our vision. So that is something still I feel like inside this flame is still burning strong. even if the band is going for such a long time, and we also have, of course, a lot of lineup changes through the, decades, so to say, and we actually, we didn't want to go with the flow always. It was a little bit against the strain. How you say that? I think
against the grain.
Yeah. So it's something we have in our blood, there's one law in metal, and it's called breaking the law. And that's
Exactly. From the gospel of the priest.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, you have quite an extensive catalog. As you said, there's been like lineup changes and stuff like that. But what do you think, the passion has been for you to keep this thing going, and to stand the test of time all these years later, to continue to produce good, heavy music?
I mean, it's like a driving force. It's hard to explain. It's something new comes up. For example, with this Occult trilogy, now it's 1 decade, that we spent for this concept, and because it's such a huge variety with the topics you can write about it. It's not only one way. It's like a lot of people even mismatch. It would be only like Satanism and stuff like that. That's not true. It's like a bright field of stuff, and especially in times like these, as an artist, you want to express yourself, right? And some things, you don't have to be a political band or something like that, or like to being like somebody writing political lyrics or something, but you can read between the lines, or you can make a stand, or like having opinions about stuff. For example, one big part of the occult, and you can find it especially also nowadays in all societies, in all kinds of political system or religion. One thing does control people and manipulate them all is fear. If you behave, you go to heaven. If not, you go to hell. Or if you have a democracy, you have laws, follow the law, or dictatorship, or aristocrats, whatever. You have always this kind of fear to put on the folk, on the people, and then you got them by the balls, right? So you follow me, or you get punished.
Oh, totally. And like, that's what, like, I was saying at the beginning. It's just like, there's so much, if you really start getting into the hidden hand, and the great mystery religions and stuff like that. It's all, a lot of the people in power are basically involved in the occult, and they know that fear, is the way to keep the people under their foot, the elites, I guess.
I mean, there's like a lot of things which are even like, it's like a net, or you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist or something like that, but it's also part of the Occult trilogy to see reflecting some of these conspiracies which were actually happened, and stuff which were leading to big drama, or even like affecting the whole world, turning it into a mess, or a war, or death and pain and misery. So that's part of that whole game. And for example, quite interesting, on the first Occult album, we have a title called La Voisine, is a French name for the neighbor. And the neighbor was actually accused in Paris back in the day for poisoning, or actually a witch circle poisoning people, right? So the aristocrats went to her and her other witches to get poison to kill each other. But what came out in the whole court case, which started as like a crime story or something like that, turned into a complete other thing. So what they did at the court, they were hiding all or covering all the windows with the whole room was black, only candles. It was called a chamber of candles, I think, if it's correct in English. And so they were holding court because they thought, okay, there's much more going on with this, or they found out there's much more going on with this, and they don't want to have that for the public.
Yeah.
As it came out, the aristocrats were not only buying poison to kill each other. There was only one piece of it all. So that was actually the French king was afraid of that. So he's some, of his fellows were poisoned, and then he got afraid and said, we have to find these people. And what came out was like that same person actually was part of a satanic circle from a Catholic priest or even bishop. I'm not 100% sure now, but anyways, from a guy from the Catholic Church holding black mass, sacrificing babies from the poor for the rich, and they were thinking they were gaining power with that. And the maitress of the king himself was also a client of that circle. She was also thinking she gets more powerful and whatever. Even they had sex with the priest and all that. It's so fucked up. Sorry to say that on air.
No,
but
it's all right.
Yeah, it's absolutely, that's something you would not think in your mind, or no animal would do to another. So what came out at the end, that they found, like in the backyard of that La Voisine, about 1,000 corpses of infants or skeletons. So and then they were thinking, where did you get all the infants from? It was actually from the slums of Paris, from the poor people, promising them, oh yeah, we'll take care of your kid and it will have a good time or a good life in a Catholic home or something like that, and etc., etc. And if I'm correct, I think they say that was also a kind of one of the things when later on the French Revolution was starting, was like, because the people got really mad when, always things come out at the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you
Everything
hear
comes to
that,
light.
yeah, if you hear that sounds so out of the world. Probably those people, they were thinking about their holy church and all that. They would never think things like this would happen, even with the rulers, like the people which are in power. And that's the thing. If you give too much power to people, they will abuse it.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, you come to the right show, Alex. Let me tell you, because I've had guys on here that we talk about subjects like this, and I mean, we were just recently talking about the Balenciaga scandal that just came out with that fashion designer and what they were doing with the children and promoting with the kids, and it's just like there's nothing new under the sun. It's like with these occultists and elitists, they're carrying on the same. But none of us want to believe, because most of us were raised in maybe a good, loving family, a good home, and we could just can't fathom that. Oh, they're, no, not these people. They're here to take care of us, and it's just like, it's hardest to get people to drop the scales. But more you go down this rabbit hole, and more gets revealed. And what I liked about what I was reading about your trilogy is, like, you guys kind of go into the dark history and tell the stories through your music of what's going on. What interested me was the one about, the story of the serial killer, Jozef Cyppek.
Cyppek, yeah.
Cyppek.
Yeah.
You mind sharing a little bit about him?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that is another example, which is like completely out of the world, so to say. Okay, where shall I start? My grandfather was from Stettin when it was still German city. It's in the east. Nowadays it's Polish. And I have a very good friend. His name is called Igor Gorevich. And we are together, this here, in the brotherhood called Jomsborg. We are in a modern Viking army, so to say, the biggest there is on this planet. And he's the storm leader from the East Storm. So we are really, really good friends. And he invited me to come and visit his family. So I went there with my son, Leon, and he was showing me around the city and showing me the building, which was the headquarters from the police back then. So my grandfather died in the Second World War as a policeman. So I was never lucky to meet him in person. So anyway, so he was showing us a sightseeing around the city and also the building where the police was. And then he said, well, Alex, there is a story you might be interested in, because this city also has like a famous, not so famous outside, but maybe for this community or infamous serial killer. And maybe that would be interesting because it was so absurd what he did. And actually, Igor was living next to the lake where the guy was sinking like corpses, whatever, 30 corpses they found later on in the 50s. So that guy was just caught in the 50s, but probably he was already doing his crimes back in the day when my grandfather was in charge as policeman. So I said, okay, of course I have to write about that story because it's so insane. The guy was actually selling human flesh to the butchers in town, and they made sausage out of human flesh and selling it to the people. So when it all came out and the guy was on court, oops, who knows what the people were eating themselves, from that man. So it's so sick, it's also like you cannot even think about it, but this is also a very dark side of human beings.
Oh yeah, and like I said, there's nothing new under the sun because I mean, there's been a lot of recent stuff about people being sold human flesh and surviving off of human flesh, like they're trying to sell it as the next thing. It's
but in this case, it was actually really they had all no clue. It was not like they were stuck from hunger or they were cannibals or whatever. That is really sick. And but on the other side, it's if people might think, why is he writing about stuff like that? It's like I said, the occult stuff is like a bright field. It's not that we're looking for some whatever scandal or whatever to make whatever profit of that or something. It's more like that. The concept about the dark side of humanity or like the mysteries and mankind's deepest hours of cruelty, but also with connected with all kinds of dark topics and places, events and locations, things which had even an impact on history and stuff like that, is also a big part. So it's a very wide range of that. And I actually found out myself when we were doing the Atlantis album back in 2004, that was already amazing how many different views on Atlantis are actually there, or how many stuff you can find about that. It's the Greek mythology. It's most of people know about, when Plato was writing about Atlantis, the sunken paradise. But that you also could find this in African culture, it was called Atlantioi, or in Latin America it was called Aztlan. You even find the flood legend in the Bible, and you find it also in Asia. So that's from that you can find it in all kinds of different cultures' history. But you also have like spiritual people. They believe they are still in contact with Atlantean people. Or you have people believing aliens were coming from or coming with UFOs or whatever and forming a civilization here, or making even an experiment or something like that. To the Nazis even were sending expeditions to Himalaya to find out about Atlantis and the alien race and where it all comes from. It's out of the world. We've also a lot of theories going on only with that. So when I had the idea to write about the occult world, so I thought, okay, one album is not enough for that. So that's
No,
why we
no,
have trilogy.
and it probably doesn't really. You could probably still go on past the third one, you know.
Yeah, well, we could, but the occult trilogy is closed, of course. It's a trilogy.
Yeah. You need a break. I get it. But no, I find that interesting because it's like, I mean, once I started going down this kind of into this world, I breezed through most of the subjects, and I remember like reading about like, how much of it is a conspiracy if like Atlantis is historically documented in all the different cultures across the
Yeah.
world, and then I mean, don't even get me started on Antarctica,
Yeah, I know what you talk about.
but I mean, you're the perfect location because I mean, when anybody reads about the Nazis, there was a lot of occult connections with them as well. Like you said, sent into the Himalayas. I know they had, they embarked in the Antarctica, with everybody else. So it's like there's something that they were channeling, that's been brought in that I don't think is it's just been in the shadows now. I think it's still continuing behind the scenes today.
The thing is, we wrote several songs about that too. We had like Masters of Darkness from the last album was strongly connected to their blood religion, so to say. And Beyond Perpetual Eyes was on the first album from the Occult, something you talk about now. But we have one song called "Born to Kill," which is about the hidden shadow army after the First World War. In Germany, we had a Versailles contract, which was like very strict, limiting the German army and soldiers. So they had actually a shadow army training partly also in Russia. The irony of history, right?
Oh
Who
yeah.
would have thought that the same people would go back to Russia, but not as friends, right? So that is the thing. That was also something that was the Weimar Republic was like a democracy in Germany, and some people in charge had no clue what is behind their own backs with their people, and the SR was also part of that. Röhm, who later was killed by Hitler. So there's always like a story to the story and beyond.
Oh yeah. I mean, I read up on Operation Paperclip after World War II on how we brought many of the Nazis over here,
200
helped start
scientists.
NASA. And
200 scientists, Werner von Braun, and I was in Houston, by the way, in the NASA museum. I don't know if I should say that, but we heard like about all the American heroes and all that, and the rockets, and we were sitting in the control room, and then they said, "Anyone who has a question?" Then I was asking, they were asking me, and if I would want to know something. I said, "Yeah, I see all these amazing pictures and stories, but I wonder, but what about Werner von Braun, the guy who invented actually the rocket to the moon?" And well, it was not meant to be a bad question, but I was just asking a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is with that, there's no side better than the other also. And there's no doubt about what happened over here in Europe, Second World War. Actually, I'm a result of this because my parents, my mother's side was coming here to Southwest Germany, also by the effect of war. And my father was forced into German army when he was a teenager, he was 16, and then he went back to Eastern Germany, and then he found communism and a socialist regime. And after his mother died, the Stasi was hunting my father, so he came over to the West. So there's a lot of really bad things were happening in in all these years.
Oh yeah.
And this should always stick in the mind of everyone. Things should not repeat in history, but look nowadays.
Yeah.
It
Oh yeah.
does. It comes in waves. Things are repeating. And it doesn't matter which culture, which country, everybody has his corpses in the cellar, right? Not
Oh,
only
oh yeah.
Germany. So the thing is, it's a shame for human beings, because look at the metal family, look at us, right?
Yeah.
We give a fuck about politics. We come from all over the world. We get along with each other. We have the same lifestyle. We have a mind for freedom. We are grown-up people, although we like to headbang and have a crazy time. And it's like people get along, right? And that
Yeah.
is something which I find really refreshing and really great. That is the spirit of the metal family. And I'm very grateful as a musician traveling around the world and meeting all the fans and friends from everywhere, from the US to India, to Japan or Australia, or in all over Europe. It doesn't matter. Latin America is fantastic. So I think this is something we can be very proud of, and that people in times like this support each other.
I agree 100%. And I think that's like the biggest fear of those, that pull the strings is all something that unites all the people across the globe. We're all one human, species. It doesn't matter where that you're over there in Germany. You're my brother. I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio. And we get together, like you said, and enjoy our religion, heavy metal.
Exactly.
That unites us.
Yeah, it's
but
the only religion, which is true.
But they'll push all the different things to keep us divided and angry at each other and distracted while they're doing the atrocities behind the scenes that they do,
Right. Yeah.
And I like that the concept of that trilogy album of retelling the dark history, because like you said, if we forget our history, we're doomed to repeat it. And we are repeating a lot of history right now. And people need to hear that harsh truth of reality of what we're capable of,
Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, you sum it up very well.
And I really enjoyed I wanted to ask you about some of your other skill set, because I really enjoyed your video Desecration of God that you directed. And it was like very like very well done movie, like big Hollywood production to me at watching it. It reminded me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom meets Beastmaster or something, with the witches and the big head priest guy,
Yeah. Actually, he's a shaman in real life as well. That person.
Oh, he's what?
He's a shaman himself. Like, he's doing that also with people. That person, I was choosing him to be like the shaman, awaken Asmodeus spirit of, free your mind from rules and all that. So that guy, he's also doing that in real life. So,
oh, nice.
Cool guy, yeah, a good friend of mine.
That's okay. Good. So, you were casting a spell with this video as well to help free minds to the viewers.
Yeah, but filming is something I also do for other bands more and more, and filming and directing and doing that. And for me, it was always very important to have like the visual side of the metal art, so to say, as well, like with the cover artwork and also with the videos and stuff like that. And I'm probably a storyteller, so that it's a big compliment for me. Thank you so much. That is really great to hear.
How long have you been doing that, and what kind of guided you? Was it kind of like a necessity, like, well, this could help the band, but also just a passion of yours to
video
editing and all that?
My sister back in the 90s, she had a film company, and I was also involved in helping her to get clients for video clips, connecting her with record companies. So she did like she was involved in video productions for Hammer, Fall, Morpheus, Dimmu Borgir, and so forth. And but doing all kinds of video clips, and also I think the first Wacken festival movie she was also doing with her company, and also videos with her company with Atrocity. And I was, always very much involved, like when we went to editing, and I did it all the years also when somebody was working on the videos, being on also there for the script and the shooting and all that was always like a big passion for myself. So but now since the latest Lee's Ice album, I'm also getting more back behind the camera and doing this also myself.
Yeah, what was that like for you to not only direct but be a part of the cast for this video?
Yeah, I mean that is yes, also something you have an image in your mind and something you want to as you say, like you want to like a movie or something, it's very ambitious. Of course we have a short budget and all that, but you accept the challenge and you want to do it as an artist. You want to do it in a way that the quality and the standard at least transports your vision of the music to the listeners or to the viewers in that case. So that there is something when I think about a song or an album, it's always for me like painting pictures in my mind. So obviously that helps.
Yeah. And would you say that, I mean, you've been doing it quite a while. Would you say it's gotten almost easier with technological advances and, software programs and stuff today?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a big difference to like cutting on celluloid film. That was like I remember these days. Like some of the first Atrocity videos, they were in the 90s. They were still like with a cutter. It was crazy how the guys were working. I was amazed. I never could do that. That helps a lot, of course. But on the other side, with all the technique. Also, if I'm sitting here in the Master Sound studio, there's always this, and especially this, you need to make something real, so to say.
I was curious too, like what type of cameras were you using for that?
Oh, I work actually that we had like that's why I have to think like we had like some Canon stuff, but I have also Panasonic. We also had different ones, so that's basically it.
Okay, because I've been getting hip to a new brand called Black Magic.
Yeah, that's also very good.
Yeah. And I figure, well, since you're dealing in the occult, might as well bring some black magic into it as well.
Yeah, that's actually good. They also have like a software a lot of people use, DaVinci Resolve. Well, it's like actually I think it was first it was only for the black magic cameras meant to work for or something, but now it's like a state-of-the-art software.
Yeah. What's your favorite one to use?
I work with Final Cut. I shouldn't say that because I'm a Pro Tools avid guy, and also endorsed by them. So, but that's for the music or Pro Tools. Just the guy from Emmett was here today in the studio. We had good talks also. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. We got a band here in Cleveland that got me hip to Black Magic because they use it for their videos, and their videos are very well done too. They're called Frail, and they were just I think over your way on a tour. So get a chance, check out some of their work. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I will if I have time. So I think the only thing is that we are a little bit over time. I just realized The other interview I should do started already.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Then I guess we'll get ready and cut it early then. But if you wouldn't mind, like real quick, would you mind just cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself. You're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Yeah. So hi, this is Alex Krull from Atrocity, and you're listening to Boondoggle Podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, I could have talked to you for a whole another hour, man, but I understand you got to get back to the other interview.
We can we can go back to this when the album is out, whenever you want to.
Okay, sounds good, because we got a lot to talk about, my friend. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you for the interview. It was a pleasure. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. You too.
See you.